This is Takahashi Hiroyuki, the owner of Waka Group, which owns and runs 5 ramen restaurants across Tokyo. The latest store, Wakaseimen, opened last June. Now, before I get into the deep look of the bowl this week, I wanted to take some time to tell the story of the noodles featured. As you may have already realized, unlike most bowls of ramen, this bowl features 3 distinct types of noodles, each offering a different and unique texture and flavor. If there is something that Takahashi-san and the Waka Group are known for, it is absolutely their distinctive types of noodles. So let's break them down. To keep it simple, I will refer to the noodles by how they look: white noodles, brown noodles, and himokawa noodles. I bet you thought I was going to say flat, didn't you? The white noodles here are made with premium wheat. These had more of a sweeter flavour. Additionally, these noodles had tons of structure and character in their shape, almost reminiscent of that distinctive temomi noodle slurp. These being my first noodles to try here were an excellent way to begin the bowl. The brown noodles have their brown colour mostly due to the roasted wheat used inside. These noodles were cooked for half of the time of the white noodles, so I initially expected a more al dente experience with them, but they were actually much more delicate to eat than I anticipated. They contrasted wonderfully with the white noodles throughout, and I felt that the flavour of these noodles were a little stronger than the white noodles, a little bit more bitter perhaps. This dichotomy was what I enjoyed the most about this bowl. The 2 noodles offered such great contrast in texture and flavour. Lastly, the himokawa noodles were also very special. I think that when ramen has these flat wide noodles, it is clear that the chef is trying to make you taste the flavours of the noodles themselves. This part of the bowl spoke to me, and upon trying them I started to really notice the intricacies of how these were made and why it was important to the bowl. Off camera, I also tried all of these noodles in the form of tsukemen, or dipping noodles, which for pure noodle enjoyment is the absolute best way to truly experience the craft. Just as a side note, I would also recommend the tsukemen at Wakaseimen for the exact same reason. The noodles available at the store do differ slightly from what I ate here, and the tsukemen dish in store comes with 4 variety of noodles as opposed to 3. I would recommend pairing them with the shio dipping broth too. However, all the noodles from across the Waka Group's 5 stores are known for being some of the most flavourful around, so do yourself a favour and try them at one of the stores if you haven't. While I would like to make this video all about the noodles, I should also speak about some of the other elements of the bowl. So let's get into the broth itself. This broth was a very nice, relatively simple meat broth featuring a predominantly chicken base, but also featured the standard umami boosting kelp and vegetables. Additionally, there were hints of niboshi and pork to round it off. What it made was an umami-filled soup that gave the noodles all the room in the world to shine. I thought this broth was at its best with the himokawa noodles specifically, especially when taking a big spoon of that soup with these flat noodles. There was also a little bit of yuzu zest, which I didn't actually get much of the flavour of until towards the end, but when I did, I thought it was a lovely little accent to an already delicious broth. I found this week's chashu very intriguing. Truthfully, I made a mistake when I was eating it and thought there were actually 2 different types of chashu in the bowl. My first slice was stupendously tender, that it was as soft as wagyu and really had that silky texture from the fat, whereas my second slice was an umami-packed meaty joy. Either way, the chashu was a perfect combination with this bowl. As I went with the tokusei or deluxe variation of the bowl, I was also blessed with a flavoured egg that had a yolk as red as the rising sun and a deeply infused colouring of soy sauce that it made me pull this face. This egg was gone before I could even appreciate how delicious, soft and creamy it was. Additionally, 2 wontons were also in the bowl. They weren't exactly standout features, but I appreciated them just as well. Lastly, the bowl had lovely and rich flavoured bamboo shoots that were quite delicate and on the softer side.
はい、どうも皆さんこんにちは。若東京の高橋です。今回、若製麺で、自家製麺を3種類作ってラーメンウォーカーキッチンでラーメンとつけ麺を提供しています。若製麺の方では、麺をいろいろな小麦粉を使って、 麺を研究しながら、お客様とも一緒に楽しんでいただけるような取り組みをしています。ぜひ若製麺の方も、いらしてください。よろしくお願いします。ラーメンウォーカーキッチンではさまざまなエリアから、有名店とか有名店主をお呼びしてラーメンだったりとかつけ麺を提供してます。外国人の方もちょっとよくラーメンとかわからないっていう方でもラーメンウォーカーキッチンに来たらまず間違いないものが食べれると思いますので、ぜひお越しください。よろしくお願いします。
Overall, the reason to eat this bowl is 1,000,000% to try the noodles. It is clear that Takahashi-san has a strong passion for noodles. You notice this especially at his stall Wakaseimen, where there are 2 visible rooms dedicated to making his noodle varieties. The noodles that were on offer at Ramen Waka Kitchen this week were also made at Wakaseimen. As I mentioned before, tsukemen is definitely the way to go when trying Takahashi-san's work on his noodles, but if you wish to go for one of his bowls of ramen instead, I doubt you will leave disappointed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.